Diolch yn fawr iawn, Llywydd. I'm grateful to the Minister and officials for making sure that the service was able to continue without a break. The leader of the Conservatives says that he lives within spitting distance of the airport in Cardiff, says he uses the service from time to time to get up to Anglesey, but as somebody who is somewhat isolated from those 5-hour journeys from North to South Wales, it doesn't surprise me that he is sanguine about the possibility of losing the air service unless it is commercially viable. We know that all transport to a lesser or a greater extent is subsidised by public funds. That is the reality of the way transport works. And I would be grateful for a few assurances from the Cabinet Secretary now that he agrees with me that this isn't by now a desirable service, that it is a vital part of the transport mix, that it is a crucial business link for many people and businesses wishing to do business between the North and South Wales, but that it has become crucial for the conduct of public service in Wales. This is not just a means for people from the frozen north to come down to Cardiff. This is a means for government ministers to make sure that they are able to keep close ties with the north of Wales. So I'd be grateful if he confirms that it is vital now as part of our transport mix. I would be grateful for assurances that any changes to services, and of course services must be reviewed, would not lead to a position where a flight from the north would get into Cardiff later or would leave Cardiff earlier, because a flight needs to be practical and it needs to work in a way that allows people to conduct their business. In actual fact, I would ask him also to confirm whether he has considered means by which the flight could arrive in Cardiff earlier in the morning, leave later in the day, in order to extend the working day for people connecting to the capital city. It is a frequent request to expand services, and I'd be grateful for comments on what kind of expansion he has in mind, including perhaps links to London that I know we had an opportunity informally to discuss yesterday. And finally, on a practical note, for those who've already bought tickets with City Wing, there was an issue when the last company went out of business and that people had to reclaim their money from a company that had gone into liquidation. We know how difficult that was. That will be the same in this case. Could the Minister tell us what efforts the government will put in to ensure that those who have paid for tickets will be able to have the best chance possible of getting reimbursement?
Can I thank the member for his question and perhaps take the last question first? Officials are already talking to City Wing about the potential to claw back the costs of tickets. We've been very clear, and we were over the weekend, that passengers are able to go to either Anglesey or Cardiff airports and catch the flights on Eastern Airways with the bookings made through City Wing. But in terms of those bookings that may have been lost or where passengers are not willing to travel with Eastern Airlines, consumer protection law applies as normal, as well as the well-established ATOL protections. But I would gladly take up any cases that the member may have of passengers that have been left out of pocket as a consequence of City Wing's demise. It's not just the public sector, although the public sector clearly have considerable benefit from this service that relies on it. We believe that approximately half of the journeys that are taken on the air service are taken by people representing private sector interests. So it's actually a very important service for both the private and the public sector. The review will consider whether it's merely important or whether it is indeed vital, and I wouldn't wish to prejudge the outcome of that review. I'll also consider whether the North Wales Economic Ambitions Board have deemed the intra-Wales air service to be a key component of any growth bid deal. And I'll also be listening to the views of local authorities across North Wales. It is essential that we have good, frequent transport links with the north of the country, as a member like Awyr that represents the northern constituency. But any form of public transport must be sustainable, and we must ensure that we don't just keep pumping a subsidy into a service that is seeing a reducing number of passengers. There must be alternatives, whether that's through increasing the number of passengers, and in this regard I think it's important that we consider the future demand through Wilver coming on stream and other economic developments on Anglesey and in the north of Wales. All of these factors are being considered within the review, and I'm looking forward to receiving it in the very short term.